The restaurant was packed that Friday night, the kind of night where every table gleamed under the warm lights and the sound of clinking glasses filled the air like music. Daniel Harper, a single dad in his mid-30s, moved quickly between tables, balancing trays with practiced precision, his black uniform slightly wrinkled from the long hours. To the guests, he was just another waiter with a polite smile and tired eyes. But behind that smile was a man fighting battles no one could see. A man who had lost almost everything but refused to give up. That if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of fate to change lives in unexpected ways, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Because what happened next changed Daniel's life forever. Daniel's day had started like any other, chaotic. He woke up before dawn in their tiny apartment, made pancakes for his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, and walked her to school before heading to the restaurant. His shoes were worn, his shirt faded, but his spirit, that still flickered. He had once dreamed of owning his own cafe, a place filled with laughter, art, and love. But dreams were expensive, and after losing his wife, Emma, to cancer 3 years ago, all Daniel had cared about was surviving and being there for his little girl. That night, everything went wrong. The kitchen was short-staffed, customers were impatient, and the restaurant's manager barked orders like a drill sergeant. Daniel moved faster than ever, juggling trays and smiles. But when the hostess whispered, "Table 7, special guest, Billionaire CEO Olivia Grant," Daniel felt a wave of nerves. Everyone in the restaurant knew her name. She was the youngest self-made billionaire in the city, known for her icy demeanor and ruthless business sense. He approached her table with calm professionalism, though inside his hands trembled. She sat alone, elegant and composed, her black dress shimmering subtly under the chandelier light. He set down her wine glass, uncorked the bottle, and began to pour, when a sudden bump from a passing waiter made his hand jerk. The red wine splashed across Olivia's pristine white dress. The sound of gasps spread through the restaurant like a wave. Daniel froze, his heart dropping to his stomach. "Oh no, ma'am, I'm so sorry," he stammered, grabbing a napkin, his face pale with panic. He could already hear the manager's angry footsteps approaching. Olivia looked down at her stained dress, then back at him. Her eyes were unreadable. Daniel braced himself for the inevitable shouting, maybe even the end of his job. But then, she said something that silenced the entire room. "It's just a dress," she said softly. "Are you okay?" Daniel blinked, not sure he heard correctly. The manager, mid-apology, froze in confusion. Olivia stood up, brushing off the mess with surprising calm. She smiled faintly and said, "Accidents happen." But instead of leaving, she motioned for Daniel to bring her another glass. "You look like you've had a rough day," she said gently. "Sit down for a moment. Tell me your story." It was such a surreal request that Daniel almost laughed. Waiters didn't sit with billionaires. But there was something about her tone, not commanding, but kind, that made him obey. He hesitated, glancing toward his boss, who was too stunned to react. Then slowly sat across from her. He told her a little. About losing his wife, about raising Lily alone, about working double shifts just to keep the lights on. He didn't want to sound like he was seeking pity, but as he spoke, something in Olivia's eyes softened. She listened, really listened, not as a CEO, but as a human being. When he mentioned that his daughter loved drawing and dreamed of becoming an artist, Olivia smiled and said, "You remind me of someone I once knew, someone who refused to give up." When the evening ended, Daniel thanked her and expected never to see her again. But fate had other plans. The next morning, the restaurant received a call. A private driver arrived asking for Daniel. "Miss Grant would like to see you," the driver said. Confused and nervous, Daniel followed him to one of the city's tallest glass towers, Grant Industries headquarters. He felt out of place in his worn jacket and scuffed shoes as he stepped into the sleek lobby, surrounded by people in suits. When he entered her office, Olivia greeted him with a warm smile. "I hope you don't mind me calling you here," she said. "I couldn't stop thinking about your story last night." She handed him a folder. Inside were papers, business proposal forms, funding details, and a note in her handwriting. "Everyone deserves a second chance. Let's build something beautiful." Olivia explained that she wanted to invest in a small cafe, one that Daniel would run. She had recently started a foundation aimed at supporting single parents who were rebuilding their lives. I believe in people like you, she said. Not because of luck, but because of heart. Daniel was speechless. Tears welled in his eyes. For the first time in years, he felt hope. Real, tangible hope. That night, he held Lily in his arms and told her, "We're going to start a new chapter." Months passed. The cafe opened on a quiet street corner with big windows and warm lights. They named it Lily's Place after his daughter. The walls were decorated with local artwork, and on weekends, they held small events for struggling parents and artists. The cafe quickly became more than just a business. It was a community of kindness, born from a spilled glass of wine and a compassionate heart. But the story didn't end there. Olivia often stopped by the cafe, not as a CEO, but as a friend. She'd sit in her favorite corner table, watching Daniel serve customers with the same humility he always had. She never took credit for the cafe's success. She always said, "You built this. I just gave you a push." One rainy evening, Daniel noticed her sitting quietly, lost in thought. He brought her a cup of coffee and asked if everything was all right. She smiled faintly and said, "I never told you, but years ago, I was the one who needed a second chance. Someone believed in me when I made a mistake that nearly ruined my career. I swore that if I ever became successful, I'd do the same for someone else." Her voice trembled as she looked at him. That night at the restaurant, I didn't see a waiter who made a mistake. I saw a father who refused to give up, no matter how hard life got. Daniel didn't know what to say. He simply nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "You changed our lives," he whispered. Olivia smiled softly. "No, Daniel. You changed your own life. You just needed someone to remind you that you still could." If this story touches your heart and reminds you that kindness can change the world in the smallest moments, please take a moment to like, share, and subscribe. Every click helps more people see stories that prove humanity still shines through. Years later, Lily's Place had expanded into 3 locations. Lily, now a teenager, helped design the new cafe logos and painted murals inside. Daniel never forgot where it all began, that spilled glass of wine. The night he thought his life was falling apart, when in truth, it was just beginning to rebuild. Sometimes, destiny doesn't shout. It whispers through accidents, through the people we least expect, through moments that seem like mistakes but turn out to be miracles. And on quiet mornings, as Daniel opened the cafe doors and sunlight poured in, he would look at the framed photo on the wall, one of Olivia, Lily, and him standing together at the grand opening, and smile. Beneath it, a simple quote she'd written: "Kindness is never wasted. It always finds its way back." Before we end, tell me in the comments, do you believe that one act of kindness can truly change a life? I'd love to read your thoughts below, because sometimes the smallest gestures, a smile, a forgiving word, a helping hand, can turn a stranger's story into something extraordinary. And that's exactly what happened when a single dad waiter spilled wine on a billionaire CEO.